Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Little bit of a different video today because we're interviewing JackManifoldTV. This is for a school project, so we remain pretty serious throughout the video. But Jack made me realize a few things while we were actually doing this, and therefore there will be a complete overhaul of the channel. This will be signified by the new logo I have and a new video narrative that will follow more of a quality over quantity basis. And either way, aside from that, if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe. I'd love for you guys to join us. There's plenty of new videos and really good videos coming your way. So make sure to subscribe and enjoy the interview with Jack. Hello class. Today I'm here for the interview with JackManifoldTV, a YouTuber and streamer with 40,000 subscribers or just above on YouTube and around 230,000 followers on Twitch. Say hello, Jack.
Hi everyone.
Of course, I'm going to be doing the interview with him today for the 9 questions I have for him. And instantly, I just realized that my Google Doc for the questions isn't open. Let me get that real quick. All right, so Jack, starting off with getting the simple question out of the way, why did you want to be a YouTuber or streamer?
So it's interesting. I've been watching YouTube and not so much Twitch. I actually watched more YouTube personally, which is interesting, bearing in mind I spent more time on Twitch myself. But I've been watching YouTube for years, and I had a few friends who were doing YouTube. So like I've known Wilbur Soot, who's obviously another YouTuber, for a good few years. And I just kind of started streaming within his community just for a bit of fun. And then slowly, as I noticed like an audience like start building around it all, is when I went, oh, I can do this. And this like could be like a really cool job. And I was like, okay. So then I started pursuing it, and that's how we got here. So.
Okay, so you basically were streaming and found out that was actually really fun with somebody else, one of your friends?
So I originally actually started streaming by myself, but it was through the kind of connections I had. I was kind of involved in that community already. So although I was streaming by myself, I kind of had advice from people around me, and I kind of already had a bit of like people kind of already knew who I was. Like briefly, people had heard my name through being associated. So like it already gave me kind of that kickstart for like a bit of an audience. So I kind of tried it out for a bit of fun, enjoyed myself, and then decided, hey, this is something I could actually pursue.
Okay, that's cool. So moving on, I'd like to ask, what's it like going outside and sometimes being recognized? Do you get annoyed by it, or do you feel like you're achieving something having a community like that?
You know, dead genuinely, I don't think... Well, I've only really been streaming, at least at a level where I'd be recognized, potentially, while the pandemic's been going on. So I've not been outside enough to really notice. I've had people that I've never had any strangers really come up to me. I've had people that I knew and haven't spoken to in years reach out to me and be like, hey, I've seen this. But I don't think I've ever been out and been recognized by like complete strangers. But who knows? I've spent so much time inside whilst I've been growing all this that maybe I'll go back outside and, you know, who knows? But I don't think I'll react poorly to it. Like I'm very happy for people to like come up and say hi. I think it'd be nice. I think it is. There's a certain level of reward in that.
All right, that's actually really nice. It'll be a surprise when you go outside and see.
Maybe, who knows?
All right, so once again, moving on to the next one. Do you find it somewhat stressful to make videos on a constant basis and keep up with the schedule you've put up or you've made for yourself over time? And this could apply to streaming too.
Yeah, no, so streaming not so. I find streaming a lot easier. I think naturally streaming is something it comes to me easier. There's something about it that like when you're speaking directly to an audience and there's direct feedback, I think it's really, I find it much easier anyway to kind of react and know what to do and blah, blah, blah. But when you're just speaking to a camera and then editing that afterwards and you're the only judge at the time of what's funny or what's interesting or what's whatever, I personally find that quite a difficult process. So I find consistency with streaming isn't too bad. I have found it difficult because I've been working a full-time job alongside all of this. So it has been difficult at times because obviously, you know, I essentially work 2 jobs, right? So it's like balancing my time is difficult. But definitely it's the video side of thing that I find much more difficult to be consistent with because it's not something I've done so much of. I've definitely put more time to Twitch, and I'm still kind of learning how to judge and critique things so I can figure out when enough is enough and when the video is ready and get it out on time. So although I haven't really held myself to a schedule so much, I've held myself to like a standard more of quality, or at least attempted to. But that can be stressful because I find personally that you're always your own worst critic, and when you're the only person to review the video before it goes out, it can be stressful.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good answer, actually. All right, now I'd like to know what's your opinion about YouTube and or even Twitch as a whole. Like your favorite parts, people on it, the community you interact with, and the diversity of the content.
I would say, so for me with Twitch, it's the viewer feedback definitely that it is the most important. Like I feel like being able to talk directly to an audience, take questions, it allows for conversation topics. It allows for it allows you to gauge what people like, what people don't like, and really get a feel of your community. So that that live feedback is great for me. And equally, with streaming, I think the unpredictability of it as well is fun in a sense that things can happen that you don't expect, and it's the challenge of trying to kind of keep it entertaining the whole time without any edits or cuts or you gotta basically be on your game all the time in order to make consistently decent content. At least I think it's decent.
I can vouch for that. It is. I like it. I enjoy it a lot.
Thank you. But yeah, and then with YouTube, I think I do editing's interesting. I do as much as I'm not the best editor in the world, I've definitely paid more editors than I have edited myself. It's the creativity you can do with taking source material and really transforming it into something completely different, and oftentimes so much better than you could initially have envisioned is great, and I do enjoy that. It's something I really do want to sink my teeth into more.
True. Yeah, there's definitely that little learning curve to editing your own videos to see what your audience likes.
Yeah, totally. It's trial and error.
Yeah, exactly. So next one, if you could go back to before you started YouTube and before you got engaged with Wilbur's community for becoming sort of a big name streamer sort of thing, would you prevent yourself from going down that road and trade it for any other job in the world, or even in your case the job that you have now?
No, not in a million years. No, it's not. I enjoy what I do so much, and genuinely, it's yeah, no, I honestly don't think I was thinking about this only today, and I don't think I could be doing something that I genuinely enjoy more. It is, to me, in my mind, for what I enjoy, the perfect job. So no, I'd never go back and change it.
All right, that's nice. And so just to also elaborate on that, do you consider YouTube as a real job? Because some people don't and some people do. So I would like to get your opinion on that.
Oh, totally. I mean, at the end of the day, to me, in my mind, a job is just, if you are making money and you can sustain yourself while you do something, you make your money and you can sustain yourself with it, that's a job. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit down and say it's the hardest work in the world. I'm not a nurse or a doctor, or there are more difficult professions and things you need much more education for. But I think people underestimate the amount of work that goes into doing this. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see. Lots of bits, editing, for example, is something that takes forever, and deliberating over ideas themselves. Ideas themselves take up so much time. It's there's so much that goes into it. So I think it is more work than people think, but equally, no, it is not the most difficult work in the world. But it is work. I get paid for it. I would consider it for that reason a job. But, it's a matter of opinion.
Yeah, that's true. And that's a very good answer. And I'd like to elaborate also on your editing, how you said that it takes a very long time to do this. So is that one of your obstacles that you found while making YouTube videos, let's say? Or do you find any other obstacles that came into your way while growing as a YouTuber and streamer?
Yeah, so, a big one for me was editing. It's not something I must admit, for me, it is, if I had to, there's loads of different parts of doing this, and, editing is probably one of my least favorites. I do oftentimes pay editors to edit the videos for me. I give them a general idea, and then I go, hey, could you do that for me? Mainly because they know the software much better than I do. I've sat down and learned the basics so I can do what I need, but, I'm in no way like some expert with like Premiere and like other editing softwares, but yeah, definitely one obstacle is editing. It does take me personally a long time, and is equally when you're working with other people, it then becomes a challenge as well, because you want to kind of translate your like creative vision, if you want to call it that, over to another person. And then, you know, usually like the way it works is you give them an idea, you go, hey, go edit this, you watch it back. Usually there's bits and pieces you want to tweak. Either you do it yourself or you go back to the editor and go, hey, could you just tweak this? You know, it's a process, it's communication. And obviously with anything like that, it can be difficult at times depending on who you're working with, your experience with working with that person, blah, 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 right? But equally just general challenges as well, like just it's like at first, like definitely it's a big change going from like not having an audience to having an audience. It's something that happened to me very, very quickly, and it's interesting. It definitely having a lot of opinions thrown your way is difficult for some. I definitely think I handled it quite well, but there's times where it's like, yeah, I kind of wish I hadn't read all that about myself.
All right, that's interesting to just go from no audience to a huge audience, like you just said, and maybe that could be a source for like the next question that I have for you. Have you ever felt like just giving up being a content creator, or even just trying to grow in your early stages? And why is that, if you did?
Yeah, no, sure, I definitely have, and I don't think it's possibly intrinsic to doing this. Is more is like me as a person. I have at times definitely suffered with poor motivation and things like that, and there was a period definitely where I was like, I don't know if I just want to opt for the easy, because I had like, obviously I started this having a job, right? And it was like, to me it was like, maybe I just go down the easy route and stick to my job that I'm already working, and because this is like difficult, because at the end of the day, at the start, especially with Twitch, it's definitely a grind of like, you really have to push yourself in order to get an audience, because Twitch won't grow you for you. Other platforms have algorithms that promote you and stuff. Twitch doesn't do that. You really have to get yourself out there. And early days, especially when I already do sometimes really struggle with motivation and things, yeah, I've definitely had moments where it's like, maybe I should give this all up. And I almost did for a period, but then I thought about it, and after taking a break, I'm like, no, I getting past all my mental fog, this is definitely what I want to do. And I've been back at it for a good few months now, and I'm loving it. It is genuinely, I want to do nothing more in the world.
All right, that sounds like a very common dream that I would have, especially doing this project. So
yeah, of course.
That's very interesting to hear that. Now I want to ask, well, our final question for you. What do you think about your first YouTube videos that you first put out? When they were made, did you, when they were made, did you expect to reach the level that you are now, having an audience and people like just following you constantly?
Mm-hmm. When you say first, how far back are you talking? Are you talking whilst I've been going by this name, or like years back? Because there's stuff going years and years back.
Whatever you consider to be your
my first,
your first true video that you wanted to do, that you knew that you wanted to do well on YouTube.
Ooh, okay. Well, you see, so I first started making like little Minecraft videos when I was like 10. And they're you know, so there's stuff like that, and of course I did want them to do well, but I had no understanding of what it needed to do well. I had no understanding of how to edit, how to make thumbnails, anything. Like, it didn't make sense to me. So like, though, what do I think? If I was to comment on those, I look back at them quite fondly, actually, because I'm like, if I could like go back and tell myself then, like, hey, don't forget about this, because keep up at this, and like in like 8 years time you're gonna be there. And like, that must be amazing, like I can imagine. But like, if I think back to like my earliest videos now, like in this sort of period of me trying this out, like while I've been like the sort of age I am now, my earliest videos, there's none I really dislike. There's some where I look at them and I go, I could have done this better. And there's some where I think my audience definitely went through a period of growing very drastically, and I had a much smaller audience, then I went to having a much bigger audience, and I think the stuff that was made with my smaller audience in mind, I then privated, because I'm like, that doesn't really match what my newer audience wants. And so I don't look back at them and say they're bad videos, or I don't dislike them, but they're definitely not as fitting to the audience I've kind of grown for myself. That's how I'd comment on them.
Okay, that's interesting. That it's true that you did probably receive multiple different audiences, like you were just talking about, over or as time moved on. So privating those past videos allowed you to grow in a sense.
Yeah, the reason, my justification for it is when I made the newer videos aimed at the newer audience, the idea was I uploaded those, and then I wanted people to go back and look at my channel and watch everything else on there. And I noticed some of the videos, if people went back and watched those, they'd probably go, okay, and not really care for them. And like at the end of the day, although I don't think they're intrinsically bad, and actually some of them I actually really personally enjoy. I just don't think they were as they were not targeted at the audience I grew off of different things I tried, and I just thought, you know what, they can be nice, fond memories for me. I've still got the videos, I still have them on my hard drive, but I don't think the internet particularly cares for them, and for that reason, I'm not going to leave them there.
All right, well, I think that's all that we have for you today. Thank you very, very much for conducting this interview. You gave some really interesting answers.
Oh, thank you.
They're definitely going to be useful on my for the project, of course.
Brilliant. That's good to hear, man.
All right, then. So thank you, class. Enjoy the rest of the project, the rest of the video that I've made for you, and say bye to Jack.
Bye-bye.